Hey guys, we are back with Las Comadres on KROJ 101.5 FM. And you guys are tuned in with Comadre Diosy.
Comadre Maria.
And we're just coming right back from our break. And you guys hear a little bit of an echo?
A little bit.
Is it fine?
Yeah, I'm good.
It's good,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
I feel like I'm talking at a quinceañera, you know?
You're about to give a speech about how you've known the quinceañera since she was a baby.
Gracias a todos por llegar, por estar aquí. But anyway, y'all. Comadre, why don't you tell us who we're joined by?
Well, today we're just so blessed and honored to have Calypso Jete Pinklady Balmain. And she is LA's premier international showgirl, advocate, activist, but most importantly, mother figure to the community. She is the first $100,000 winner of Legendary on HBO Max, as well as West Coast Ballroom house mother to so many LGBTQIA plus youth. She's been honored to have worked with Lizzo, Janelle Monae, Sam Smith, Megan Thee Stallion, McDonald's, Demi Lovato, Teyana Taylor, and many other companies, agencies, and celebrities, as well as traveling, performing, hosting, and curating safe spaces around the world for youth. Welcome, Miss
Wow.
Calypso. Thank you so much for being here.
How you guys doing?
We're
Happy
doing
New Year.
good. Happy New Year.
New Year.
Yeah, how are you? How was your New Year's? What did you do?
Um, what did I do for New Year's? Okay, so I for New Year's Eve we went out to my husband's event. He hosts like an after hours event, but like this was like their New Year's special.
Okay.
So we went out
Okay.
there and I brought New Year's in with a small group of friends and some of my kids and no shade. It was a peaceful night.
Nice. Very, very cool. So it was just mellow, bringing it in with your close loved ones, friends, and family that
Yeah.
are just near and dear to your heart. Well, that sounds like a great way to start the year, Calypso.
Yeah, hopefully it stays like
Yeah,
that.
absolutely.
No, yeah, I feel you on that one. I've had probably one of the most peaceful New Year's that I've had in quite a while, and I'm looking forward to keeping that energy throughout the rest of this year. Because, oh my gosh, last year was a roller coaster.
Absolutely.
Was not
Yes.
ready for that one.
Yeah.
But tell us, Calypso. So that's quite the list of uh, established names right there. How do you feel? Is this something that you always saw yourself doing? Performing, working with these top names. Is this? Well, how does that feel? And you know, what can you share with us?
Well, to be honest with you, I've been in entertainment like my whole life. I've been performing like my whole life. But the funny thing is, when I went to school, I first went to school to be a forensic scientist. And I wanted to be a forensic
What?
scientist. Like that was my overall goal.
We're going to be part of the CSI team.
Yeah, but then cause I would watch CSI and Law and Order,
Yes.
and then one day one of my favorite characters got shot, and I was like, oh wait, never, I don't want to be no CSI no more.
No.
I said, okay, so what else could I do? I started to do a lot more like I was in choir. I was in choir and dance and theater. So I applied to performing arts colleges because all the colleges I got accepted to were gonna take me out to like across the seas or like to like I got accepted to some big name schools for my degree for my what was I gonna say career that I wanted to go into.
Yeah.
But then I changed that all around when I got into like high school. And I was like, I want to be a performer. So I went to performing arts college. I got my BFAs, and then crazy thing is halfway through college, I decided that yeah, this is not for me. I was a musical theater. I was a
Okay.
musical theater major, and I was like, I don't want to do musical theater no more because I was in the point of my life where I was finding like finally like starting like to transition out
Okay.
and be myself, live my authentic life.
You're finding
And
yourself.
the teachers would be like, "You have to do this because you present as a male, so you have to like do this." So I was like, "Yeah, this is not for me." And I had got into like doing drag shows, and then from there, I just was going around competing and working, and it just became like a thing. And I I started to put a lot more, invest everything I knew from previous performances and stuff into it. Started my own drag house, got my first drag kid, got another drag kid, and then it just blew up from there. And that's how I became a mother figure.
Right, right. That's so important to have that that mother figure or that guiding figure in your life. So it sounds like you've been able to come up from the very very beginnings of a performer and just sort of moved your way through every stage, and now you're able to provide guidance to the youth as they're getting into performing drag and all all
Yeah.
the things that come with that. I remember watching a clip of you through Legendary that you mentioned you you saw a drag performer in college, and you were like, "This, I could do this." Like, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I used to go into this club. There used to be this club in West Hollywood called Arena, and it
Hmm.
was like a kind of like an all ages club. Um,
Yeah.
and I remember going there, and there was this queen. Her name was Beyonce Glamazon,
Okay.
and I remember watching her perform, and she was like getting paid to just like lip sync a song, and and I was like, oh, this looks very easy. Like I could see myself doing that. And then I remember I dressed up for Halloween one year, and I was like, "Oh, this kind of hurt, like these heels and everything." And then I was like, "Well, let me see if I can like incorporate like performing with this,
Yeah.
because I never had danced in heels before." And I remember my first competition I went to, I psyched myself out. And I
Oh
wore my combat
no.
boots. I wore combat boots on the stage, and I remember everybody went up for me, like they were like, "Oh my God, you're such a good performer!" And then the main host Raven from RuPaul's Drag Race was like, it was cute and everything, but you're gonna have to wear a heel."
Oh.
And then I went and I bought 6-inch stilettos, and I was
Yeah.
performing 6-inch stilettos. And everybody was so impressed that I could dance in 6-inch stilettos, because they were like, "Wow, like you're doing like crazy things like most people don't do." And then after a while, I learned that I didn't have to wear 6-inch stilettos. I could wear like a normal size,
Not every
like
time.
pump and heel, where I'm not gonna break my neck. But yeah, it was definitely a journey. Along the way, I didn't really have nobody to help me,
Right.
and when people did come in to help me, there was one. I mean, there was one queen. Her name was Exotica. She unfortunately passed away last year. But I remember she was the biggest person who. She took me to a show, and I didn't know much about makeup. And
Hmm.
she sat in the back and like she like coached me on like applying like this powder here and everything. So then I took it back to my best friend at the time and my boyfriend at the time, and they were like supportive too. And they did not do makeup. They were just going off of what we saw. So we would see other people do stuff. I was like, yeah, just put that on my face.
Yeah.
So I went out one day with like contouring. I didn't know what contouring was. Like they just took black eyeshadow and put it across my face and my nose and stuff, because that was the other girls had on their face.
Yeah.
And I went there looking crazy, but it was all like it's all a learning process. Like
Yeah.
I had so many people just got to come in, and then I had to learn. Remember when my best friend went away, and my boyfriend at the time did not do makeup, and I had to do it my own. And I was like, oh, trial and error. But now I've gotten like, I consider myself a seasonal professional.
It's. I mean,
Oh.
you've seen the photos.
Yeah, I've
Dilsey.
seen the
They're
photos.
just. I mean, amazing, flawless makeup, and it's just like I aspire to that degree
Yes.
of like artistry.
Oh, you guys can do it. Trust me. I always when people ask me to do makeup, I always tell people like I want you to learn like how to do your makeup so you don't have to pay people to do your makeup.
Oh, that's lovely.
I do like half their faces. I'd be like, okay, now repeat what I just did, and then just keep repeating it until you find your own process. Then you find what works for you. Because I was always trying to live in the shadows of other people and trying to figure out like with their face or with their performance or everything worked for me.
Putting that on you.
Yeah, and then I was like, I don't know, it just doesn't feel right. And I was always
Yeah.
told like, you don't wear enough makeup, or you're not like a real drag queen, or you're not this
Oh,
and that.
no.
And I was like, yeah, people were so mean. Back in the day, people were so mean to me. And I think that's why I'm the person I am today. I'm so nice and giving, because nobody wanted to help me back in the day. It was always competition. So I was like, we could compete against each other, but like, we also need to help each other because we're a small knit
Mhm.
community.
Absolutely.
That
I feel
part.
like, Diosy, I feel like that's been your experience just even just recently, just with all of the changes. Like, you are somebody that is very much like Calypso, where she takes the time to teach somebody and help them through and you see that the value of where you see the value of doing it together and not like be competing against each other. So, what do you think?
I mean, truly, I mean, I think a lot of little different things. Like as you were talking, I was kind of reflecting on my own like makeup journey, and kind of I feel like I didn't really learn how to do my makeup, I would say, until like the last, I think 2020 really my makeup game changed. And it was through TikTok, honestly. It wasn't really through girlhood, but it was still fun. The
Yeah.
trial and error. And I've been looking back at some pictures and I'm like, oh my gosh, who let me out with my eyebrows looking like that?
Yeah.
Why
like,
did my eyebrows look like that?
I was just gonna say that the biggest like humbling moment is when you go back like 5-6 years and you're like, what did I do to my hair and where are my eyebrows? Like to my little sisters, I'm like, I know this is not gonna mean anything to you right now, but just listen. Please don't do anything to your eyebrows. And they're looking at me crazy, and I'm like, because I had no eyebrows for a second, I had to grow them back.
Oh, I shaved mine off. Like these aren't even real. These are tattoos.
Oh no!
Oh,
way.
they look
Yeah,
good.
like little tattoos from Amazon. I just go. Boop,
But still in the
yeah,
secret.
it works for me. It works for me. But I remember I had those days. I was just looking at pictures of myself and showing my friends like videos of me back in the day, and I was like, ooh, this is like a process.
You're like, I'm glad we're here today for you to experience me in my glory. Because questionable. But going back to what my comadre was saying is, yeah, definitely can relate on the aspect of kind of having to navigate just all of these struggles on your own, and then having it within yourself, because everybody goes through struggles, but not everybody has it within themselves to help others go through those struggles too. And I think that's kind of what makes you stand out in your community, and what has made me stand out in my community as well, is that like heart of service, that heart of like not letting somebody struggle through something that like they don't have to, because you're there and you can provide that support, and you can, be that helping hand and guiding light, like my comadre was saying. Can you reflect on a moment where you felt like you didn't deserve to be the person that is kind of, I guess, in charge and holding the torch and guiding others?
Ooh. I mean, I feel like I have like a few of those moments. Like, one thing I learned, I've really learned about myself being a mother figure, is that when you are a mother figure, people look up to you and for mentorship, guidance, and everything. And I feel a lot of times people actually put you in the place of their like actual parents that they think they didn't get. And I will be honest, like I don't think that I won't say that I am the best mother, because I can only be as much as I am to myself and to the others. And I would say I make mistakes and everything. But one thing I recently just learned, because we had this whole incident that happened. And what I took from it is that these people look up to me in like a space where I am like their mother, leader, and mentor. And when I don't give them the appropriate answer or do the appropriate actions that they in their head would perceive to be right, then I could be looked at as a bad guy, or I could be looked at as like, like, oh, you don't care about me, or you're a bad parent and you're bad this and that. And I had to learn last year, from a kid of mine that sometimes I had to take out what I see for them is not always what they see for themselves. And when I see something in somebody, I always try to push for them to be the best that they could be in that thing. But sometimes they don't want that. Like sometimes they want to do it their own way. And I have to accept that. But it's so hard because being like their role model and their parent, I don't want the world to like take over. I always tell people like, like if you're my kid, and like there's a thing between like ballroom kids, personal kids stuff. But if you're a kid of mine or just a person in the community that I see regularly, I would hate for people in the community to talk to you crazy, because I'd rather be the one to talk to you crazy and tell you about the thing before the community can. Because
Yes.
sometimes the community allows people to walk through their space, and they'll team up with you, and they'll side with you on things only when it's in their favor.
Right.
But when it's not in their favor,
not
now
genuine.
you're like, you're back in the world by yourself, and I hate to see people experience that. And I've had my times where I've been like, dang, like, if I would have did it the way that they wanted, or I would have did it in a different way, we probably could have saved this incident and everything from happening. But I also believe that with God and the universe, that things happen for a reason.
Yeah.
And learning to put people in places in my life where maybe that person's not there to be with me from A to Z. Maybe that person is only there to be for me from A to C, or A to like F in that journey.
Yeah.
And maybe they might come back later down the line, or maybe, that was it. Maybe like that's all I have to give to that person at that moment, and they have to go out there and get the tools and the research for somebody else.
Yeah.
Yes. That's such an important thing to like having those boundaries within yourself as a mother figure, as a person that is just like in general a person of influence, right? Is having those boundaries of making sure that you know where you start and you end, and where that other individual starts and where they end. And I think I've also learned that, this last season of my life, having I have a team of my own. I'm an older sister. I'm the oldest sister, and so I have a lot of people that are kind of looking towards me and looking for guidance as well. And so I can definitely see how that is a very, very important thing to acknowledge, is where somebody, you might have that vision for somebody, but they don't always have to have the same vision as you, and you can learn to support them in their vision. And maybe that you can revisit, the ideas you had, but ultimately being able to support the person where they're at and meet them where they're at, I think is what makes a great leader and a great mentor. And so that was a great reflection. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. As a mother figure, I think it adds to your experience. Every time you go through something with one of your children, wherever wherever they may be in your life, and you help them through something, you're not only enriching their lives, but your experience as a leader and as a mentor and as a guiding light, I think it just gets that much better, and it increases your children's ability to trust you, because you're letting them find things out on their own, right? Like, you're letting them grow, you're letting them walk on their own, and if they fall, you're gonna be there to pick them up. And hopefully, it'll be one of those lessons where you realize, like, okay, I fell and it hurt, but here's my support system, and now I'm back up and I'm gonna keep going. And I feel like that's what you provide as a mentor and as a mother figure and as a leader, really, in your industry too.
Yeah, because I always just tell myself, like, I take on a lot of people's burdens, and I take on a lot of people's problems when, like, they bring me something, and it's a choice, because I tell them, like, I'm not your biological parent, like, I don't really have no ties. If in the reality of it is, people looking in might be like, this person is just like a close friend of yours that chooses to, like, take care of you and, like, give their, and to me it's like, some days, like, I can't just give you, like, the outright answer, because sometimes I don't have the answer right there.
Right.
But I know in that situation we need to have an answer. So sometimes I might do something and I'll be like, oh, this might come back to bite me in the butt later on. But in this moment, it's protecting you. And it's to, like, teach you a lesson, and it's to, like, show your growth, and it's to, like, reflect. But, I also got to remember that at the end of the day, I'm only one person. So I can't just...
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's where it comes really important to know where, like Diosy said, like, where you begin and where your children begin, and you're able to have that balance of not taking in everything in, because you can overburden yourself, and then you can burn yourself out, and then you're no good to anybody, right? You can't
Yeah.
perform anymore, and you can't do your activism anymore, you can't do anything. So that's it's such a difficult role, I think. Just so many different aspects to you being a leader. And how do you stay grounded in those moments, and like, and what do you do to take care of yourself when you have like a when you've had a difficult moment or a difficult week? What do you do to take care of yourself?
Honestly, that's a really good question. Honestly, I just try to surround myself with like things I like to do. Like I'll maybe like go for a ride, or like I'll listen to music, or like I'll dance, and like I'll find something to just keep myself occupied. And I'm always just thinking of like what's next. Like I'm always just trying to plan ahead, because I never want to just get stuck in like a situation. Like anytime I plan something, I always have a backup A, B, C, and D, just
Mm.
just in case something goes wrong. So I am aware and ahead. And I would say now, going into life, I have people that I can go and I could talk to and everything. But even with that, like the things I've experienced and witnessed in life, it's really hard to me to even like
Talk about.
be vulnerable
Yeah.
and have emotion towards things, because a lot of time, throughout my life, I've really like have like suppressed my emotions and my vulnerability for other people, because I'm so busy taking on everybody else's problems. So my emotions don't matter at the moment.
I just want to remind everybody that you guys are tuned into Las Comadres on Radio Olin KROJ 101.5 FM. We're coming to you live from our studios here at Pueblo Salud in the city of San Fernando. Our show is produced by Valley Views SFE Media and Voces Unidas in Pacoima. You're tuned into the voices of Comadre Diosy.
Comadre Maria.
And Calypso.
Hey, go ahead, Calypso.
Okay. um, but yeah, that's pretty much just. I feel like that's why I'm also a very independent person. I'm a very independent person, because I feel like I I want to trust people
Yeah.
to have my best interest at heart, but I also learned that like no shade, like it's the people that's closest to me that have hurt me the worst.
Yeah.
And so I suppress all my feelings and emotions, because I just don't want to go through that process of being hurt. And then I have so many other people relying on me. And now that I'm hurt, I can't give my energy and capacity to the rest of everybody else. Because now if I'm hurt, now they're going to be hurt. And then they have their problems. I'm like, oh my God. Now, and then
Oh
in my
my
head, I feel like
goodness.
I'm a horrible parent. I'm a horrible mother.
Oh my.
All of this or that. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a
I
lot.
feel you're preaching to the choir right now, because that's been us. We've been kind of going through that. I bounce off a lot with my comadre, personal things that are going on in our lives, and I feel like that's something that I've been struggling with, is like making sure that I keep my emotions to myself,
Yeah.
and that I don't let those emotions seep into, my team, or my even my I have actual children. I have my babies, my daughter and my son. Sometimes even like as their mother, like I have to really like check myself and my emotions and make sure that I'm not giving them something to feed off of that isn't right. But on that note, y'all, we're gonna take a quick little musical break, and we'll be right back with Calypso to learn a little bit more about the different types of dances, the different types of everything that is going on. And yeah, we'll be right back, y'all. Again, this is Las Comadres on KROJ 101.5 FM. Hey guys, we are back with Las Comadres on KROJ 101.5 FM. We are a segment of Voces Unidas produced by Valley Views SFE Media, and Voces Unidas and Pacoima. You are tuned into the voices of Comadres Diosy.
Comadre Maria.
And Calypso.
Calypso.
Hey. We've been chatting it up on air and off air. And we were just talking about Calypso's day, what Calypso had going on today. And she was just sharing that she had a fitting today. And your outfits are always so stunning. Like, just the few times that I've seen you perform, I'm like jaw dropped. Specifically, the last time I saw you perform. Jaw dropped. But yeah, I mean, confidence is one thing. You have confidence, and like, you know how they say, like, you're all that in a bag of chips. That's you. Like, you got it all. So let's talk a little bit about that. Let's talk about like Calypso's fashion evolution. What was that like for you? Finding, you know, what your style is gonna be like, and you know, while you're performing, yes, your outfits are stunning, but even off the stage, you know, you always look so fresh. Yeah, talk to us about that.
Okay, so when it came to fashion, I've always been like an abstract person when it came to fashion. And more importantly, I'm a very sweatsuit, sundress type of person. Like, I will wear a sweatsuit down or a jumpsuit down. Like, very easy clothes. Like, I would go in Fashion Nova and find a matching set and be like, matching. Boom. Because I just be like, I don't think I'm like one of those fashion moguls, like do all that. I'm very much like easy peasy, breezy. When it comes to my performances, though, a lot of my outfits is based off of, I like being sexy. I like lingerie. I like showing off my chest.
You like form-fitting.
Form-fitting, yeah, very form-fitting. Yes. I've been recently wearing dresses and stuff, and the girls been going up for it. They're like, oh, very different. But I've never been the type of person for gowns. Like, I can put myself in a gown, but I've always been a person that likes to show off body. Like, very feminine,
like the silhouette.
The shape. Like, I'm Mother Shape. I call myself Mother Shape. So, I don't know, yeah, I just like being a
being a naughty girl.
A naughty girl.
Yeah, especially after I got my body done. When I got my body done, I started embracing more of like smaller padding and stuff, and like I didn't have to wear a breastplate no more and wear like a bra. I can now go out my chest and like show them off, and like my boss he'd be like, your chest is always coming out or something this that, and I'd be like they were paid for it. Like, no shade. I want the world to see them. After the performance.
Well, speaking of gowns, you've been in pageants, right?
Yes.
I did a little research, and I found that you did pageants and you competed in Miss California Continental or Miss Continental.
I did Continental. I did the Continental prelim recently last year. Before that, I went to New York and did last year. I did New York Entertainer of the Year. And before that, I did like the California Panache pageant, and then I went to Maui for the first time. I competed for the Maui International Showgirl competition, and I was in and out of pageants, but my dream goal is to do Continental. I really want to do Continental, and not just because of like I look at Continental as like the trans drag race like competition, the top tier girls, because every time I set out, I only want to battle the best. Like, I only want the best competition. So like, even if I lose to them, then I know I'm gonna come back because I want to work harder so I can beat them.
Come back.
And my thing is talent. Talent is the best category that I always want to go for, because I just feel like I want to be undeniable in my talent. The gown is cute. Question and answer, cute. But talent, no shade. That's like that's what I've been doing my whole life is performing. And I want the world to see that.
I mean, and your performances are so dynamic, and
Yes.
every time I see you like do one of those death drops, I'm just like,
Heart
how are
stops.
her knees still functioning?
You know, I the dip is something. It takes a lot.
The one you did at the Somos Gala or the Somos when you
Yeah, it was
jumped off of the you literally jumped off of the stairs onto the platform. Do you remember that?
Yes, I've been doing a lot of crazy stuff.
I was
but
like-
I stopped doing that. I gave that up. I said I can't be doing stuff like this no more.
I was like,
Those stunts are
Insane.
just I mean, you can tell that it takes a lot of practice, a lot of physical stamina,
Yes.
because you don't just do it once or twice and then you get it. Like, I can tell that you practice it till you feel like it's right.
yeah.
yeah, something like that. Something like that. Hopefully. And the funny thing is, a lot of times people see me perform and be like, "Did you practice that routine?" And be like, "No."
No.
I literally just be going off what's in my head and what's happening in the moment around me. I like to be in the moment.
Yeah.
Because, you know, anything can happen at any time. So I just be like, okay, like, especially I do a lot of brunches. So there always be like big tables and stuff around me. So I always have to learn how to have spatial awareness and like maneuver through and be like, oh, you get it?
Yeah, no, that's such a good
I
point.
actually have a question. So you get hired, you know, to perform, and you don't always know exactly what the space is gonna be like. Of course, they're hiring you, so obviously you assume that they know, the crowd knows what they're expecting. How do you navigate? Because I was at a show where the crowd didn't engage as, I mean, for me, I was like, hello, Calypso, what the heck?
You're
you
there
guys?
with a handful of dollars.
Yes,
at the
and
front.
so what do you do when you encounter a crowd like that where their energy is off and you can tell that they're maybe didn't even know what to expect, and now you're in front of them in your nice outfits doing your nice performance?
Well, recently we just had a gig where I was hired, and I came out and the people just looked at me like they were literally just looking at me like if I was like crazy. So like sometimes like when we do brunch, like depending on like what happens, like the music might be low or whatever, and like I'll walk out and the people just look at me and I always go, okay, well, like if y'all not gonna engage with me, I'm still gonna perform. I'm just gonna go around here. I'm gonna interact with the audience. I'm gonna talk to them, chit chat, and I'm gonna do what I need to do until the song is over. And I'm gonna be like, okay, like,
thank you.
because my only thing is, I just don't like to be put in situations that are awkward where I feel like, because when you're just looking at me, I'm thinking like something wrong, like. Is there something in my face or like
You feel subconscious.
you know, like am I going crazy, like, and I've encountered that quite a few times, but normally by the end of it, the crowd usually turns around. Except for this last performance that you saw me at, I don't know what they were thinking. I don't even know I didn't think they even knew we were having a show, because the way the people were just like talking amongst themselves, and I'm performing, and I'm just looking at them like, do you not like see me like just coming through? Like, it was just kind of crazy. I never. I would have to say that was one show I never experienced. Like,
That's an anomaly.
yeah, I was like, maybe this wasn't my day today.
Yeah.
I don't think it had anything to do.
I don't think it had anything to do with you, but I mean, I was there. The performance was lovely. I had so much fun watching you perform. So, I mean, I think it's just, you know, I guess it's just not everybody's cup of tea,
Yeah.
but that's fine,
Yeah.
you know. But yeah, thank you for sharing
Yeah,
that, because
I went off of that man.
I was like, you did.
I went off on him because he was like, I did my first performance and I went out there and I was like, first of all, the music was messing up. Every time I went out, the music restarted like 4 or 5 times. And so I told the man, I said, no shade. Thank you for the experience. you can keep your money. You don't gotta pay me. It's okay. I'ma just stop performing because I just feel like the crowd is not like invested in the performance, and we were supposed to perform way earlier, so things were getting pushed back and things happen. But I was just like, I just don't want to put myself out there in a space and like, these people are here for a different thing, and now I'm coming in.
Wow. Well, that's situational awareness. Is that the right word?
I would say yes.
Yeah, because like
you read the room, really well, and you were like, okay, I'm gonna just gracefully bow out and.
But you didn't bow out because you stayed the whole evening.
He came back and he was like, "Please, can you stay?" And I was like, and Kevin came back there, was like, "Calypso, no shade, just go." And I was like, "Okay, well, I'm gonna stick it out. I'm gonna stick it out." But I told him like, it's okay. Like, it was okay. I just feel like, because at that part when they weren't interacting, I felt like I didn't do my job as the performer. Like I feel like my job is more than me just showing up. It's about actually delivering a show. And I felt like everybody did not everybody, I would say a good 60% of the people did not get to experience the show that this man paid me for. So I felt bad on my end. So I said, you can keep the money. You can keep the money. It's okay. I'll just go. I have a gig after this anyway, so we could go. But I stayed, sought it out. We talked about it, and then I was like, oh, he apologized. And I was like, it's okay. It's not your fault. Right. I mean, you would have known. Like, and I don't know. I think the crowd was like, it was like all straight crowd or something.
I think it was just like a pretty like conservative group of folks,
Very conservative.
So yeah, it was just not expected, I guess. But again, I had a lot of fun. We chatted up that night, and Persephone was there too, and so that was nice. I had not met Persephone, so that was my first time meeting Persephone. But yeah, your performance was great. Your outfit that night was like chef's kiss. So but yeah, other than that, I mean, do you have any more performance horror stories?
Oh. Yeah, I have a lot, like just being a performer, just different things happening. I remember we did Kevin's gala, and we did it at this church, and I was a Grinch, and my kids were all supposed to be like the little Whoville people.
Like the Who people.
And Kevin did not tell us about the floor, but I should have known, because the first person performing before me, she went and she was just slipping and sliding on the floor, and I was like, okay, like, she's just slipping and sliding. I'm just thinking like, maybe that's just her.
Her shoes are too.
Yeah, we went out there, and when we all slipped, and my kid hit the one person, I fell and like rolled into the kid, and then my other daughter hit the lady in the wheelchair. It was just a lot going on, and I was like, oh, and Kevin just be laughing. He just thinks this is the funniest thing in his life, and the people, like, all we can just is laugh about it, because I'm in this big suit. And the people are just like having fun, but the people are having fun.
Oh, no.
So I was like, like it worked out, but no, that was crazy. I remember one day I was performing, my wig slipped off, and it was just like, and I just keep going. I mean, when things like that happen, I've learned to just have fun and embrace it, and be in the moment. I fell off stages before, like the full stage just fell.
Have you ever had like a injury, like a broken or sprained anything from performing?
I have sprained my ankle performing, but craziest thing is, like, majority of the times I perform with sprained ankles and stuff. Like when my ankle is sprained, because I know, like, this is my income, so like I have to go to work. Like, I can't stop. So I would just wrap my ankle up and go, and people would never know. And I was in a very bad toxic relationship, and my ex hit me with a car and shattered my whole ankle. And I had to get a metal plate and 9 bolts in my ankle. And so I've had that since I was on Legendary. Like, when I went on Legendary, I've had that. And even during those like few months, I had to go back to work. I had to work. And the doctor was like, you're not going to be able to walk till 2024. Like, you won't be able to put on heels till 2024.
Oh, my gosh.
And I taught myself how to walk again. I was literally performing. I would take an air mattress to the club, blow up the air mattress, and just do sexy numbers and, like, roll around on the bed and, like, everything. And they'd be like, Calypso, what are you doing here? And I'd be like, oh, I have to perform. Like,
Working?
and then I started slowly putting on heels and, like, learning how to, like, maneuver. Because my ankle support is not the same as it used to be. So some, like, pumps and stuff wasn't working. So I would just put on a thigh-high boot, have it wrapped up, and perform with, like, a broken metal plate in my leg. And I think that's what really has built a lot of resilience in my life against a lot of things. And just knowing that, like, it's really mind over matter.
Yeah.
Now at the end of the day, I might be, like, messed up ankle later down the line, but as of right now, I'm fine. Okay.
There's always medical technology that's gonna advance. So I mean, you never know. You're gonna have bionic ankles.
Yeah. Hopefully, if this presidency don't take away all my medical insurance.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we've touched a little bit about how it is scary that we're gonna be coming into the next 4 years with a lot of uncertainty, a lot of benefits being taken away, a lot of rights being denied. How, as a mother, how do you help your children and those that you mentor? Like, how do you help them through that? Or what words of encouragement would you say to them?
I try to tell my kids that, you know, with this next 4 years, it's gonna be hard, but it's not something that we can't get through, and we haven't been through. I feel like we've been through a lot worse. It sucks that it has to happen at a time where things were, like, making, like, a monumental change.
Yeah.
And now it feels like we're going backwards. But I always get a hope that, like, there's still resources out there. And I have a lot of access to resources that are legal and illegal, you know.
Beep.
Okay.
No, you're a resourceful person, and you're willing to go above and beyond for those that you care, and that's a trait that, you know, is very hard to find, because there are some people that look at resources like, no, this is mine, and I'm not going to share that with you.
Yes, a lot of
the gatekeeping.
Just said it.
Gatekeeping.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's gatekeeping, cancel culture. You know, these are the detriment of our community right now. Like the crab bucket mentality that you got to step on others to get to where you want to be. You got to hold back, withhold to get to where you want to be. You know, we're not doing that here.
Yeah,
we're not doing that.
It's unfortunate, because then it makes it harder for people like you who are actively advocating for your rights, for you to be able to speak your voice. It makes it that much harder for you to keep going, because there's people that are like, no, like, I don't want to share my resources. I don't want to tell somebody, you know, something that might make them feel better, because that's mine. I've seen a lot of the activism that you've done. I mean, from voter registration to, I saw that clip on was it Prop 36 that you were talking about? And you even hosted, or you were featured dancer instructor for an event that you did at Valley College. You taught a bunch of students to dance, and that's like part of your activism. So I really want to just thank you for the wisdom and the activism and the resiliency that you're putting on out there, because it is going to be hard, and you're creating spaces where people can feel safe at a time where it's very, very uncertain, and people don't feel safe. Yeah. So I really admire what you do. You're not just a one-dimensional person. You're multifaceted. You do so many different things, and you're becoming, or you are like and I don't mean this in a bad way, but like the elder in your community. Like you're ushering the next generation of performers, people who are transitioning, people that are just not sure about themselves, and they see you with incredible amount of confidence, and I look at that and I'm just like, if I could be that confident, but if I can't have that, I'm gonna admire it, and I wanna, admire somebody like you, because what you do, people don't always value that. The community work, being on the ground, on boots on the ground, people don't always value that. And we've seen it. We've seen it with different community activists, members in the community. We don't always appreciate them, but this is, I think, why it's so important for us to have you here today, because we want to be able to give you that platform and allow you to reach out to more folks with the work that you're doing. So,
Oh, well,
thank
thank
you
you.
so much.
Thank you. I be trying. No shade. It's a lot. It's a like I said earlier. It's a process, and I just try to monitor myself and make the best choices I can in those moments, just so I make sure that the people have the best outcome they can have.
It's lovely.
So our segments right now are going based off of community and culture. And so I wanted to ask you, when it comes to drag performance, how do you feel that that is affecting currently community and culture? Like specifically just here in the Northeast San Fernando Valley, right? You're from North Hollywood. You work here in Somos is still in North Hollywood. What's
Sun Valley.
Sun Valley.
Mhm.
So you work here in Sun Valley, and then you travel all around. But just here, like locally at home, how do you feel that, the drag performances has impacted community and culture?
I feel like I have to give a special shout out to Kevin, because Kevin does a lot for the community. And I remember during COVID, like, we weren't going to have a pride, and I was like, Kevin, we're going to have pride. I said, let's go to the park and let's just throw pride in the park. People could wear their mask and everything,
Yeah.
but let's go throw pride in the park. And we did that. Like, he trusted me to put on a pride show and a little mini ball at the park, North Hollywood Park. And people came out. Like, it was COVID. People had their masks. People brought their kids and everything. And I just felt like it was a way for our community to be showcased in a positive way, and not only to like the adults, but to the kids that can't afford to go to drag shows, or are not of age to go to drag shows, or just have never experienced something like that. Because just like that drag queen inspired me, like we might inspire something to somebody else to be like, oh, visibility being a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
Just for kids, adults, or anybody to see people who look like them,
Yeah.
being able to showcase and perform and do what they enjoy doing during these times where we can't be socially like connected. Like it opens up a space for us to just be free, and and show that, like, even though hard things are happening, we still have good things that come out of it.
Yeah.
And that's like trickling into this new year. Like I've been telling a lot of kids who come to me, like, help them get their gender marker name change and like just resources, housing and all. I said, the next 4 years may be hard, but that's not going to stop you from like being who you are. Like, we can't just let one person ever stop our journey. Like,
Yeah.
we're always on the go. And once you get through this, you'll understand, and you are able to educate the future generations of like, oh, like, we went through this. That is not as bad. Let me tell you what I went through. And then they can see, and they can see that visibility, and they can see that leadership, and they can create safe spaces for the community.
Yeah, no, I love that about visibility, and especially what you said about going to a park and putting on a little performance and having kids come out and watch you perform. I've been to the there was a performance here for Pride at some point in San Fernando, and performers came out, drag queens came out to perform, and there were so many little ones just dancing around and having so much fun. And thinking back to my own experience when I started to see drag queens was through media. Was like one of my favorite movies growing up was To Wong Fu. I mean, you have these really large men that are have been in action movies and have played bad guys, and then they are in drag and they are acting feminine and really getting in touch with their feminine side. Because I saw an interview with John Leguizamo who played Chi Chi, and he said that part of his experience was to spend time with a performer, with a drag queen, and really gained a huge amount of respect for the work that they did, and that really helped them prepare for that role. And just growing up, like being little and watching like these like action stars like Patrick Swayze, and you have Wesley Snipes, it was like, oh, like you, yeah, this is possible and this is not weird, and it's told a story. And granted, like it's a dated movie because it's like early
Yeah.
90s, but it told a story, and it told a story of compassion, understanding, and love. And that really resonated with me as a child, being an immigrant child and not really feeling like I fit in anywhere, not really learning the language that quickly, and not knowing what the cultural references were. So when I saw that movie, it was like, oh, okay, so not just me, like there's different people in different facets of life that do struggle with feeling like they
Mm-hmm.
belong. And then of course the my old time favorite, of course, Mrs. Doubtfire, where although he used drag in a sort of nefarious way, but it still, again, it told a story of compassion and love. So I really appreciate that, you acknowledge that that's important, like to expose people to different things,
Mm-hmm.
and letting them know that, yeah, you may not like it, but it can exist, and we
Yeah.
can all exist. There's this world is big enough for all of us.
Exactly. I just think that a lot of times we get canceled out, or people get canceled out just because, you know, it's about like not yucking somebody's yum. Like, like we can agree to disagree.
Yeah.
And when you expose people to these things, it's to educate them just so they're tolerant of these things. Because as the world is changing and future generations, majority of people don't really care what's happening. Life really should give, like, if they're not paying my bills, I go on and
Mm-hmm.
like do whatever I want. But we live in reality, so we have to bring it back. But just showing people, like, this could be a safe space for you to be yourself, and to know that anything is possible. Because I also look at, like, when I was doing drag, I also saw drag as like an outlet to reenact things that I may not have thought I could do. Like, a lot of my drag performances when I first started out was based off of cartoon characters and like movies and reenacting and storytelling. I did a lot of storytelling with productions because that's what draw people in. People could see a story from A to C, and they'd be like, oh, "Okay, I understood it." That brings back, like, that unlocks childhood memories. As I moved on, I got more into impersonation because I was in my transition. I was like, I want to look like the woman that I see myself as every day, and I want people to understand that. And now drag has gone everywhere. There's drag everywhere.
Have you ever considered auditioning
um
for the
I
for the
have
for the big show?
I have auditioned for RuPaul's Drag Race, and I always tell myself, like, I would love to be on RuPaul's Drag Race to boost my platform
Mm.
and just travel the world more and share my experiences with the world. But I also feel like there's something out there better for me than RuPaul's Drag Race that
Mm-hmm.
I want to give. And when I was first just like a drag entertainer, I was very much like into, like, oh, this, that. As I stepped into my womanhood and have transitioned, drag is still fun for me, but I see it very differently now. I use it for other ways. I use it more so to show people, um, to be visible, because one big thing is when I first started drag, and me being African American, when I first went to West Hollywood, there was this thing that, like, you know, if you're in West Hollywood, you have to be quote unquote white. Your drag has to be like very polished, clean. They don't want to hear nothing urban and stuff. And so I always limited myself to the things that I could do. Then I trickled into when I started trickling into my performances. I was like, okay, well, like I want to like step out. I want to do like Nicki Minaj today, or like I want to go out and do Little Kim and stuff. And it was like, I don't know. It's crazy because there's this battle in the drag world today. It's like, if you are a person of color, they sometimes I feel at certain spaces they want you to limit yourself to things you do because they don't want you to be too urban and like ghetto and like
they put you in a box.
Yeah, run away your crowd. But then like a person who is not of color can do those same things and nobody will say anything about it. So I've always taught my kids like when they perform and everything, do whatever you want. Like as long as it's not hurting nobody.
Right.
Like, sometimes I want to go out there and I want to live my quote unquote ratchet urban fantasy. And the thing is either you're going to look at it and respect it because I'm being respectful to you, or you could just shoot me to the side. And I would hate for you to shoot me to the side because not only do we work off each other, like you keep me like, stable income and everything, but also I bring people here and I support you and I've been loyal to you. So the clubs that I work at now, I don't really experience that, but there have been some spaces where like they try to limit us and I'd be like, no, like I won't be limited. If you brought me here to perform, I'm gonna perform. That's what I'm here for.
Right. They hired you, the performer,
exactly.
Not you to perform them.
Exactly. Like, I'm going to give the audience what I feel like giving the audience today. Unless you are paying me like a good budget where you say, I only want this, then I'm only going to do that. But other than that, if you're not paying me like what I feel that I am worth, then don't require me to do something that I do not feel like I am not worth doing.
Admire that self-respect.
Yeah. And like for you to have such conviction to hold your own creative liberty, right? I think that's also really important because I feel like a lot of people might be intimidated, especially if they're getting paid to perform at a space, at a location or at a space that they would be like, oh, that's what they want, right? But I think the perspective that I hear here is that no, like I am the performer, I bring the value, and if you want some, like you said, if you want something specific, then that'll like be at an extra cost. But my performance and my creative vision through that performance is mine.
Yeah, because even in the Valley, like I was saying in the Valley, I used to work at a lot of the Spanish clubs, and a lot of girls perform like the Spanish Latin numbers, and I'm not Latin, like, so me coming to the space, I have to do what I do best. Like, I'm going to go in there and do Beyonce, if I do Beyonce, or do, like, Cardi B or Nicki Minaj, or, like, the people reaction to it, like, they go up for it, because it's what I know what to do.
Yeah.
And so, I remember when I used to enter these spaces, and the queens in the back used to be so nasty, so mean. Like, it reminded me when I first started out performing, and the girls used to, like, talk and, like, sabotage me. I remember I went back there, and the girl was like, oh, they're not going to like you because you, they don't really like things like Beyonce here and everything. And I said, okay, well, I mean, like, they don't like it. I'm still going to perform it.
I'm not still going to get paid.
Exactly. I'm going to get paid. And it first was a thing where, like, we would go and we would get our own tips. But then one of the girls, I don't want to say her name, but one of the girls, she made it a thing where she said, anytime I was in the show, we had to start splitting the tips. So, like, they would collect all the tips, and then we would divide all the tips amongst each other.
What?
And I would go and I would complain. I'd be like, no, I'm not. So-and-so did not put in the same effort and work that I put in. And no shade, it could be vice versa. Maybe I did not put in the same work or effort so put in. But
Right.
you know, my tips are my tips, their tips are their tips.
Absolutely.
No shade. Like we're not. This is not like no job. Like we.
I mean, it's not like you're working in a restaurant where you're like working with the bartender and you're, you know, working with the busboy or the food runner or whatever. Like, you are coming up with your own routines. You're coming up with your own wardrobe, with your own makeup, with your own equipment, with your own production, and that's, you're not entitled to share anything if you don't want to.
Exactly.
You
Yeah.
could if you wanted to, but, and I love that you, as a performer, as an individual, you're like, no, I'm worth this. Because I feel like a lot of people today get really intimidated by a lot of different things that they see on TikTok, on Instagram, on social media, and it makes them feel like maybe they're not worth that much, or maybe that they couldn't aspire to that. And I see you not only saying, no, like, I am worth what I say I'm worth, but I'm gonna impart that into the people that I'm mentoring. Like, you're not gonna just be like secretly say, hey, you know what, like, this is my performance and this is how much I'm gonna get. And then if one of your kids comes to you with advice, wanting advice on that front, you're gonna give them that same kind of advice that you take for yourself.
Yeah, because I tell people all the time, like, you gotta build your platform. You gotta build your way up. Like, you can't just go in there requesting $500 for your performance. But there also comes a time where I tell my kids all the time, stop going over there and doing their shows for free,
Right.
because you're a very talented person. If they request it, there's a difference between you asking to do it and then they're asking you to do it. When somebody starts requesting you to do something, then you have to put in requests for yourself. That's where you start funding your work. And I feel a lot of people take advantage of a lot of performers and entertainers, because they will give very much like, oh, I want you to come do this, but it's a tip spot, or I cannot afford to do X, Y, and Z. And I always tell people, if you can't afford to do X, Y, and Z for me, I can't be there, because
Yeah.
my not only does my talent, my money, my hair, makeup, costumes, everything costs money. And people don't understand that. And I'm very good at working with people with a budget and everything. And if you're my friend, it's different. If you're my friend, I'll come out and do it. But even my friends, when I first started out, I had dancers, I used to tell my dancers, I don't have millions of dollars. I'm not a RuPaul Drag Race girl. I'm not like a big name person like that. But what I can provide is when I get like paid out, or when I get tips, you guys can have it. When every time we got tips from the show, I took them out. I made sure I paid for their costumes, I paid for their food, and I still do that for my dancers today. I get them Ubers, get them rides, and everything, and I found a loyal team of dancers that they've been loyal to me from the beginning, because I've been loyal to them. There have been people I've worked with that be like, hey, I want like the dancer union rate, and I'd be like, okay, I don't have the dancer union rate. I can't hire you this time, baby. If I had it, I would give it to you, because I'm not opposed to giving things to people.
Right.
Like, I would give the clothes off my back to somebody, but I also have to be fair to myself and set boundaries to be like, no shade. If we're gonna do this gig and you want me to come and you want me to do 3 sets and bring dance and everything, then each of my dancers need a room. Each of my dancers need, they need a stipend.
Yeah.
They need this and that. They need a flight. If we're going here, we need an Uber to go here and there. They need food.
Take care of
because
them.
I'm taking care of them, and you are requesting, and baby, if you make a request, you gotta pay up, because I don't like to work free. I don't believe anybody working for free.
No.
My goodness. This is honestly just valuable advice, regardless if you're a performer or not, because even like myself, I am self-employed. I am an entrepreneur. The work that I do consulting, social media. A lot of the work that I do gets overlooked, and overlooked when it's convenient, right? Because when you're needed, you're being asked, and you're being you get requested. But then, when it comes time to pay up, it's like, oh, well, your craft isn't always valued in the way that it was requested. And so, yeah, totally listening in and absorbing in everything that you just shared, because I think that it can definitely be taken into so many other careers. Nobody should be working for free. Absolutely. And unless that was agreed upon from the very beginning, and I don't think that anybody would agree to work for free, and yeah, definitely agree with the accommodations, the stipends, yeah.
And loyalty. I'm very big on loyalty, because there are days where sometimes, like, one of my bosses might be like, hey, can you come do this? It doesn't pay as much, but I know, like, you've always been loyal to me. You always help me out, so I can help you out back in return. But with other people, people messing me all the time. Can you come do this private party for my sister's quinceañera, or like my baby shower, and I only have $200 for you to do like a 12-minute Beyonce set? I'm not coming out there
for 12 minutes.
Mind you, I'll be like, I could find you somebody for $200 to come out, maybe like a new girl who needs the money or something. I'm not coming out for $200 for 12 minutes. Like, what do I look like coming out there for that? And they talk about, we could give you food and alcohol. I don't even drink. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't do anything. So I was like, honestly, like, $200 not going to do it for me. And
what else you got?
Yeah, like, you
gotta watch.
You gotta, and that's
you gotta watch.
I would say in life, I might have like issues sometimes setting my boundaries, but when it comes to my performance and stuff, I have no issue turning down shows. I've turned down big shows because you don't have a rate for me. They'd be like, you get exposure. I don't really care about exposure. I don't really care. Yeah, like
exposure.
But there's a lot of people, and I always tell my kids, quit going out there for exposure unless I know that exposure is going to lead to something else. If anything, I could care less if so-and-so is going to be at the show. If so-and-so is not giving me money for me to be at the show, I'm not going. Like, I've worked with some big name artists and stuff, and signed some NDAs with some artists for some projects, and even they tried to shortball me. And they had the money. I'd be like, no, my rate is X, Y, and Z, because, you want me to come in. Even if you want me to come in there, especially voguing, because voguing is such a big thing right now that everybody wants to learn and everybody wants to incorporate it, everything. If you want me to come in there and vogue, because you say you saw me on Legendary, you saw me on X, Y, and Z, well, then you're going to have me voguing money. Like, You're going
to have HBO money.
Exactly, because they come in and be like, I saw you voguing at brunch and everything. Yes, at brunch, that's my job. No shade. Like, they hired me to come perform at brunch. And even if they weren't paying me that much, I'm there every week. So that's my income. But I don't know who you are. And you want me to come over here and come spin, dip, jump off the ceiling, record it, and then use my likelihood and my name and stuff to promote something of yours? Yes, you're going to pay me
There
for
you
it.
go. Yeah. See? This is the energy I'm coming into 2025 with. Heck yes. Oh, Calypso, we are coming to the last 6-ish minutes of our show.
Oh, no.
We have 2 hours have just flown by, honestly. And so, coming toward the end of our show, I want you to have the opportunity to share with our listeners how to keep in contact with you, how to reach out to you, where can they find you, right? Maybe some upcoming events that you have, and maybe some resources that you can plug in. So go ahead.
Okay, well, you can find me on Instagram or Facebook at Calypso Jete. That's CalypsoJete. You can find me at Somos Familia Valle on Wednesdays at 7:30. I teach beginning Vogue classes for the community, and it's free. We like free. I'm going to plug in Kevin, Somos Familia Valle. We just opened the first LGBT center here in the Valley, in Sun Valley. So you can go on Instagram to Somos Familia Valle. I'm not gonna spell that all out, but and look up upcoming events we have coming up. As far as this year, I have some projects that I set forth. Every year I do a birthday ball for the trans community, so I'm bringing that back. But also this year I have some more secret things. I've been working with a television network. We have some projects coming
Wow.
out.
Oh my god.
And yeah, I'm just here for. I don't. I want to release the stuff, but I can't. But
Well, when you are ready to release
Can't wait.
and ready to tease more, please let us know. And we would love to share with our listeners whatever you got going on. And yeah, one last plug in. What was your Instagram again?
my Instagram is Calypso Jete. That's CalypsoJete.
Thank you so much, Calypso. And to wrap up our show, I just want to do a quick shout out to our sponsors, Superior Carco, La Mariposa, Mexican Food, and Prime One Design. We are so grateful for you guys, for your continued support throughout this season. Thank you guys so much. And you guys can also tune in with Las Comadres every first, third, and fifth Monday. And then Voces Unidas is on air every second and fourth Monday. We are also on air every third Sunday of the month. And so just so you guys can get that a little bit clearer, Voces Unidas is on every Monday. And we transition between our host with Melissa and Teodora, and then myself and my comadre Maria. And so truly, if you guys would like to share what you guys got going on in the community, the work that you're doing, your hobbies, anything that it relates to community and culture, that is the topic we are on right now. So you guys can go ahead and reach out to either one of us at either platform if you guys are interested in being featured on the locals only Las Comadres playlist with Alex Infinity. You guys can also reach out to Alex Infinity on Instagram. But that is it for us. Happy New Year. This was a great first show. Thank you so much, comadre.
Thank you so much, Comadre, and thank you so much to Calypso for taking the
Thank you so
time
much.
out of your busy schedule. And we hope you have a wonderful evening, and we can't wait to see what's next for you.
Yes. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.